by addressing the unemployment crisis head on. From your perspective, what are the main factors do you think is contributing to the high unemployment rates that we're seeing, especially among young professionals?
So one challenge that I would say off the top of my head is the challenge of universities or corporate institutions not able to build talents, young people, undergraduates, to the point where their skills meet up or align with the needs of the markets. So you have people leaving school, thousands of people leaving school every year, but then they don't have the skills that they need to thrive in the job markets already, waiting to then go into the job market. So that's one challenge.
Right. And what's the cause of that when you see? Is it the case of not having the right resources at the education level? Is it the curriculum, or is it just they thinking as long as you have your BSc, you're able to get a job?
So there's the issue of infrastructure and the curriculum, the problems within the school that don't accommodate that. But then I like to take responsibility, and so I'm always about you. So yes, you have graduated and the school didn't give you tools, but then you have to do the work by yourself. You have to put yourself in a place where you are consistently developing your skills to meet the next phase of your life. So I always talk about career planning. You need to plan your career from undergraduate days, not when you leave and you're ready for the job market. When you leave, maybe too late, maybe, but then you need to start from when you are learning the ABC in school. You need to start thinking, what is the next phase of my life going to look like? What skills do I need to thrive? If I'm going to be in digital communications, for instance, who is doing that? What are they doing? What skills do they have? What is their day-to-day? What can I learn to make me employable when I leave here?
Mm-hmm. So is our entire school system obsolete then? Because you speak about these skills, and these skills are ever evolving in themselves. If our institutions are set in stone, I read botany, by the way, I can tell you how chromosomes split and how evolution happens, but I do not think that for the love of me I've ever exercised that knowledge. So you can tell that times are always changing.
Ever-changing times.
What skills do these institutions, and I'm taking this from your first remark, do they need to incorporate into the learning procedure for undergraduates? Specifically, what skills?
So that question is very important for me because, again, we can't create a whole faculty or department and say, oh, employability departments. But then incorporating some skills, some subjects that teach people basic skills, work ethic, and how to thrive. So take, for instance, how many graduates from universities right now can actually send a proper email? So imagine that they have that in some course, in some, they use it already in school. All of these things that you need in the job market, you already know how to do them. How to apply for jobs. Many people don't even know how to apply for jobs. Some people think that when they finish school, they are just going to get an opportunity somehow because they are smart. But they don't know that these things are things that you need to cultivate. And the school system, there has to be some way to incorporate something to teach these people about the job market and how to thrive in it. Because then again, if you keep saying the school is obsolete, it's like we're applauding them for that. We need to advocate for schools, institutions, infrastructure around these kinds of things so that when you get into school, even if you didn't know, the school is able to say, oh, you can take this course, or you can go for career counseling. And I know that we used to have career counseling, but some of those things don't work.
Well, I mean,
it doesn't work.
So in schools, they're supposed to have guidance and counselors who are supposed to also act as your career counselors and all of that. But unfortunately with that, like Mazino said, and as you've said, they're slowly beginning to lose their functionality. But we need to go on a short break. You're watching Breakfast Extra here on News Central TV, and we're talking about unemployment and navigating the labor market, especially for young graduates. We're going on a short break. When we come back, there's plenty more. Stay here.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying. We're still navigating the job market as we talk unemployment here today with Ofofononon Emmanuel, who is our expert here with us in the studio. You're welcome once again. And yes, I use the full name because I love it. Thank you very much.
We did a little bit of icebreakers over here in the background, by the way.
You were asking her very interesting.
Yes, I was. And this time it's about, the job seekers. We've talked about the education sector and them being rightfully equipped to be able to navigate and even get a shoe in to the door. But let's talk about the gaps that you see between what job seekers expect and what the current labor market wants.
Tough. So right now, first things first, the labor market need people who are not just smart, because there's smart people everywhere. People who are ready to do the work and do it passionately.
Gen Zs, can you hear?
Do the work and do it passionately. So let me talk about that for a bit. You cannot do something passionately if you don't already like it. So that takes us back to the very essence of planning your career. You have to plan your career around things that come naturally to you, things that you are already interested in, things that you know that if they don't pay you, you'll be happy to do it. Because, it comes naturally to you.
Yeah, like this job.
Yes, like this job. Great. And I wanted, that I have always loved media, communications, marketing.
This is on your profile. There's quite a number of media. I'm like, I beg, stay one place. Stop shifting lanes.
So these things come naturally to me, and I love it. So it means that no matter the stress, of course, the labor market is tough.
Right.
Corporate is tough everywhere. Right. But then when you are in a tough spot, because you have the skills, you are interested in it, and you love it, you'll be able to thrive.
So the triad.
Yes.
You must have the skills, you must love it.
You mentioned something very important to this conversation, and that's the generational differences.
Right.
We grew up under a climb that was very different from what the Gen Zs are growing up, and then there's another one under them. What's the next generation? I can't remember.
Gen Alpha. That's your kid. You don't know the generation.
They're going to have a totally different climb. Now, with these different generations, you expect to develop your career or develop whatever interests you have. With the climb that you find yourself in, what challenges would the Gen Zs have in this overly structured situation that we have, that we are used to as millennials? I'm taking it you're a millennial as well.
I am.
Hallelujah.
I love this conversation, and because I have spoken to and worked with a lot of Gen Zs, I see that maybe it's not the generation issue, maybe it's values. Because I see that many Gen Zs would want to skip the corporate thing, not do any of that, leave work, come to work anytime. But there's still many out there that understand the importance of work, that have work ethic, that understand values, that know that respect is important, and respect for other people's time is important, that know that you can object to somebody's opinion without being disrespectful, that know that you can point certain things out to even your seniors without coming off rude.
I hope they cut the sub there, Gen Zs. Go on.
So there's always that, I would see Gen Zs who have that attitude, and then they blame it on the generation.
Or mental health.
Yes, or mental health, because there's that, and it's very important. However, you can always communicate and work properly with people with respect. You can always do that.
You are a pro at personal branding, because I've seen, again, in prepping, I watched and I observed, and what you were very particular about is personal branding. And so this takes me to my next question about entering into a competitive market that we've now found ourselves in present day, in the global job market. What are some strategies do you think young graduates should be doing to get into the workforce? Should it be personal branding? What platforms do you think they should be using, like LinkedIn, Twitter? I don't know anything on the social media.
So when we talk about personal branding, there's the personal, first of all. It has to be you, not you on LinkedIn, not you on Instagram saying the amazing things that you can do, but you for the essence of who you are. So you have to be before you put yourself in those platforms. So if you have the skill, if you are confident, if you are employable, then you can go out and say that you are. Because there's a lot of people who are experts at posting and saying things that they are not. Because it's easy to.
A charlatan.
So personal branding has to be personal. If behind closed doors, and if these cameras are not there, who are you? Are you that person? And do you have the skill? Do you have, because I can go out there and say, oh, I am this, I have done that, and nobody cares to verify just because you have said, which is important to be, because again, when you get employed because of personal branding, you have put yourself out there. Then the personal comes in. Then your boss can't even, they don't understand. Because they hire this person because of this person talks a lot. This person posts a lot. This person looks good online.
This is a situation of what you ordered versus what you got.
Exactly.
There we go. That's a good one.
So now it's time to do the work.
Right.
I saw one joke, one meme where the person said, oh, when I put that I can speak French on my CV. And now it's time to speak the
think I
French.
Oh,
remember
there
that
was
one.
one that I love, a Ugandan skit. I have to tell the story.
She has to
He
tell the story,
applied
guys.
for being a pilot, okay? And then he gets to the tarmac, and he was like, okay, you ready? Go check the plane and all the things. And he goes there, he looks under the plane, he looks, he's like turning around. Finally, they get in the plane, and they're flying the plane, and his co-pilot is asking him all this rudiments and everything. And he's like, I'm sorry, I am not qualified for this job. Mid-air, and he opens the door and flies out the plane. I am not joking.
And that paints a very realistic picture of what people,
Yeah.
what the situation is when it comes to getting a job in Nigeria. However, leadership, let's go to the very extreme now. Leadership is a very important stamp to one's career. As a coach yourself, and as you build people to develop their careers and their paths, I'd like to know exactly what the individuals can look out for. And very curiously, what's a Gen Z leader going to look like? And I mean a Gen Z CEO, because we're expecting to see more of these as time progresses. What are they going to look? What's that era going to look like in a corporate sense?
I want to say something. I can't say it. I'm sorry.
I'm
I cannot
going to
say
wait
it.
for you to say
I
it.
cannot say it. Isn't that the CEO of Patricia? Moving on quickly. Don't let
Okay,
it drop. Don't let
okay,
it drop.
great, great,
Don't let it drop, because I feel
great.
this one's going to go. So, what's it
All
going
right.
to be like?
So before I jump in there, I was going to finish that question, the previous
Oh,
question.
please.
Yeah.
Because there's the personal, and then you, the essence and the core of who you are. And then there's the platforms. Because you can be so great, but if you don't tell us that you're great, we never know.
Right.
You may have done all these amazing things. You may have raised seed funding of $3 million. Nobody knows that until you say you have. Which is why it's important that if you really have it, then you should say it. Because people who don't have it are saying it.
Yeah.
So you should really put yourself in those platforms. So for job seekers, people who are looking for employment, then LinkedIn is the place. And then a supporting platform like maybe your
Media.
portfolio, maybe Medium, maybe Instagram if you are in media generally. So it's important to put yourself in those places and consistently say who the heaven you are. You need to say it so that when people see it, they see it and they believe you. When they call you into important rooms, you can defend what the heaven you said.
Nice.
Oh, and now on
So the leadership. So what that would look like, because I'm a zillennial, I'm a zillennial.
Yeah,
I'm-
now stretching your
I'm
leg.
a-
Oh, that's why you're claiming millennial with your full
I'm a
chest.
millennial,
it's okay to associate.
but I'm like 3-4 years away from the
From the Gen
Typical
Zs, I
millennials,
guess.
Gen Z.
Yes, so it means that I understand, and I have friends who are Gen Zs, smart friends, by the
I
way.
adore Gen Zs. I won't
I
pretend.
have a Gen
like
Z
them.
friend who is, I won't call her name, but she knows I'm talking about her. She is a CEO. She runs a marketing agency, and she's amazing at her job. So she understands the importance of balance, and of course, she has Gen Zs on her team also. But work ethic is important to her, and she knows that in leading companies, in leading people, you need to put those values in place, those core values, spell it out to the people you're working with. And that's what it looks like if you have work ethic. Your generation is not going to excuse you from doing the proper thing. So I've seen Gen Zs who are CEOs, who are business leaders, who are doing what they should do in order to get revenue and to get the accolade that they deserve.
So they're making it on a global standard because they're taking what obtains in Western, in a Western sense and applying it here. But how does that affect culture here in Nigeria? We had an instance from earlier this morning when Judith had her prologue and she was telling about the fact that the governor-elect of Edo State had to go kneeling down in front of the president to shake him, and she thought that was, out of place when you
Out
look at
of place, yeah.
it in the setting. Now, when you put culture and our current job seekers or CEOs that we're looking forward to having in the future, how does that play?
Do they have to be subservient?
Nah,
Is
don't do
subservience
that.
yeah, thank you for that word.
Don't do
is
that.
it particularly needed, or we can do without it? Let's just face business.
You need to be confident, not
But
subservient.
Nigerian workplace.
Again, so if you even find yourself in a place where they need you to shut up, please close the door, leave. Because you
In
need...
this competitive job market where there are no jobs.
Exactly.
For
So
me, I don't like this, you know.
let's go back to personal branding.
Okay.
Let's go back to personal brand because it's important. If you know that you can do the work and you know that you are putting yourself in the places you're supposed to put yourself in, yes, you may be out of job for a while, but you will get another one. Because, again, there are a lot of talk. There's a lot of people doing plenty talks, but then people are looking for people who can actually do the work. So if you find yourself in a place where they are always shutting you up, you have important ideas, important suggestions and contributions, and they always shut you up because they say, oh, I am like this. I found myself in those kinds of situations where they need me to shut up because I'm younger. So you don't... So you don't see, you need to be confident in your abilities and in who you are, so that when somebody says shut up and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot really shut up like that.
It's gonna go home.
I cannot really shut up like that. This is what I want to say. And you say that respectfully, emphasis on respectfully. You realize that their shut up is from a place of intimidation. They're intimidated by your confidence. So again, be confident, know that you have a backing, and your backing is your personal brand. So I don't talk about jobs, getting the job. I talk about you. Your ability to get the job, not getting the job. Because again, you can get the job today and they say, we don't have money to pay you, come and be going. So that can happen. Or you can say, oh, I'm done with these people. But there's that confidence in knowing that you can do the job and you can look for the job and you would get it. It might take time, but you would get it. So don't put yourself in a place where your mental health is threatened. You can't talk. You are always crying. You are always fidgeting. You're panicking.
Right.
No, don't do that.
Oh, no. I'm watching this, right, and I've passed out of, NYC, and I'm sitting down at home and watching this, and I'm like, yeah, I have the degree. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be a marketing exec like yourself in a fintech, and work for for maybe top 500 or some tech company in Sweden or something. What are the strategies do I need, like practical strategies that I can adopt to get a job like this?
Number one, personal branding. Start from the personal before you go to the branding. So personal branding, it has to be personal. You need to know the work, know what you're doing. And you don't have experience. Let's imagine that you don't have experience and you're watching this.
Yeah.
Like I always say, experience is everywhere. Go and get it. How can you get experience? Let's use marketing, for instance. There are a lot of marketing courses out there. Lots of people who are looking for marketing interns. Lots of people who are looking for volunteers to help them do their work, help them build their businesses. There is experience. Now you know collect experience because maybe you're looking for some big money.
There's no money now for transport.
That's the thing. So there's always, you need to give yourself experience and know how much price you're willing to pay to gain experience. That's why you don't wait till you finish school.
Okay.
That's why you start from school. That's why you say, oh, this is my career plan. I want to be this by so time. And so in order for me to gather that 4 years experience that they are asking for, I am going to start volunteering for an NGO that needs a social media marketer, for somebody who's just starting a business that needs a graphic designer. I am going to start from there.
Positioning yourself already from while you're already still in school.
So
I like that you raised that. I like that you raised that. Experience versus academic versus qualification. Now I'm about to ask a very, very critical question here. Since the experience far outweighs my degree, then what use is getting the degree? Ask that now. Wait, hang on now. The truth is, when you look at the landscape, people, CEOs who are Gen Z, are making it not because of the degree that they earned in school, but because of their ability to identify a problem and provide a solution. That's why they're CEOs. They don't want to work for anybody. So should we be advising youngins to actually go look for work or look for a job. And I mean the difference being work for someone as school plants you. You have to get a degree, then you have to search for a job and work under a company or someone. However, if you decide to say, I want to fix shoes, and I'll do it corporate fashion, you become your own CEO. So where does your academic degree come in?
So I love this question.
Thank you very much.
So
I thought
studied
about it all by
philosophy.
myself.
Of course.
Weirdo.
I studied philosophy in school, but something I always did in school, I used to publish for a magazine in school. So I had always written. I had always held on to the mic if there was an event. So I had always put myself in those places, emphasis on, because it came naturally to me. Because I already liked doing it. I can do it. So when somebody says, who is that girl that can write? Please call her for me. There's something that I have to do. Now, I was in school to study philosophy, even though I wanted to study law. So I did philosophy just because. The institutions we have out here, you can be so smart and like you want to work in tech and the institution is Paystack, for instance. You want to work in Paystack.
You pay.
You want to work in Paystack and you don't have a basic degree. That's the entry-level degree, entry-level certification or certificate you need to at least say, okay, because again, you're going further in life. There are people who are asking for your NYSC. So you need to at least, if not for anything, get the basic entry
Well, that's
minimum.
time spent. That's time I could have spent building an empire.
No, but that also means that to go against the grain of society, because I mean, when you came in as well, and same as I came in, I'm sure when you came in, they'd ask for your university degree and your secondary school degree.
Sorry,
and all of that.
let me answer her. You're no longer here. But you see, the funny thing is, I started doing the media even before getting a degree.
Of course.
And for most of us,
Amazing.
that's how we started doing media. We started from being undergraduates.
Yeah.
We graduated and never had to present our degrees to our employers because we were already working. And from then on, every other employer has hired us based on our ability,
And
not based on... but here, they hired us based on experience and everything else. You know?
Yeah, very important. So people want to know that at least you can read and write. Because that's what you will need in the workforce. You can read and write. And what's the best way to validate that? That you went to school, you had a project, and you wrote the project by yourself. You presented it to the panel of judges, what they call them. That's one validation of your ability to read and write.
Did it have to take 4 years for me to be able to present and write that?
Mazino,
I could be a natural, is my point.
Mazino, let me make a case.
And I was a natural.
Let me make a case for the university and for the 4 years and also for all the other schools and all the other processes that one has to go through to become a rounded individual for our society. Now, with the university, there are many things that we're supposed to be doing as well, but unfortunately, our system doesn't allow for it. So in a perfect world, if you are in a university and you have 4 years to learn whatever field, you are supposed to have taken a gap year before that university. That gap year should have been that time for you to figure out what you want to learn. In my case, I had a gap year and I was lucky enough and informed enough to know that I wanted to go
What
into...
did you study again?
As education. I wanted to go into... I wanted to do law, but then I couldn't afford to do that. Instead, I ended up with education, English language, and I majored in child psychology and literature, African literature. And I do that now. And so that is what it's supposed to be. And whilst we were in school, I started to volunteer at Cross River State Broadcasting Corporation. I worked at Paradise Radio and also CRBC Television. And so I met the people that I met along the way. That is what it's supposed to be. So whilst you are in school, you are going to those classes and you are enacting them in real life. Hence your 1 year gap within the school curricula where you go for your industrial training, also known as internship. You know, you go there and you go and learn that. So, but unfortunately, our system has failed that, hence why you went to learn botany, and hence why I couldn't...
I wanted to be a doctor, by the way, just so everybody knows.
There you go. There you go. So those things, so that's what it is.
Happened.
So that's what jam happened, and that's what it is. So the system itself was designed for that, but unfortunately, it has now been flawed over time and years of it being
We should ask
flawed.
you.
And
So is the system flawed?
I would say yes, a capital yes. Because why are we churning out thousands of graduates, and there's no infrastructure, and now we have to think about it all by ourselves. When we grew up hearing that when you just finish like this, just grade first class, NMPC will be waiting for you, or just, you know, we heard all of these things growing up, but then in realizing that this is how the society is, you have to think about yourself and for yourself. So yes, it is flawed, but it's our job to make it better right now.
Yes.
For ourselves, you know, while we hope that the system will change or be better.
One final question from me is the focus for these job seekers. Everybody wants a corporate or at least something that's sort of like a blue-collar job. Nigeria is a very big arable country, and I use the word arable intentionally because as a botanist, I understand that there's plenty of work when it comes to the agriculture sector. Why aren't people tuning in on this, young ones who are job seekers tuning in on this and taking advantage of that availability? Why must I work for a financial institution or start my own business and it has to have that corporate sense? Who's deceiving me?
So again, newsflash, you don't have to. Again, tap into the core of who you are. What do you want to do? You need to decide and not say, oh, I don't know. You choose one, or you look at all the things that you can do, all the things that you're already naturally good at, and then pick, okay, this is the one that is most viable in the markets. This is the one that will bring the more money, and decide. If it's agriculture, you know how to plant. I have a friend, she's the CEO of Agrodemi, and what she does is help other farmers get information that they need to do well in their farms. She started from planting. She started from doing the actual work in the farm, and she's doing very well traveling around the world right now just because she was able to start from where she started. So again, what do you love to do? You need to know that your life can literally change from one thing that you love to do. You can literally move that from 0 to 100, but you need to decide what you want to do. It might not be something that you like to do, but something that you have strengths in. You may not like speaking or talking, but you have strengths in it. Is it possible that you cultivate that enough to like to want to do it so that you can earn money? So nobody's saying you need to wear a tie and work in a financial institution. We're saying tap into who you are and cultivate it to the point where you can thrive in a career that concerns that path.
As we wrap up the show today, one advice, one tool, one skill, one strategy that you think is crucial and pivotal in the job market?
Number one, can I say two?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Number one, intentionality. You have to think 3 steps ahead. Because, so you're in school year 1, you need to think like somebody that's leaving school tomorrow because there are things to be done. You don't always have youth, you don't always have time. So you need to think, you need to be intentional. What is the plan? And again, try to remember a scripture, but you will do your work and God will do his part. So what is your part? Intentionality. This is what I want to do. And this is what I will start doing. I will start gaining the experience needed to thrive there. And yes, God will bring opportunities. And I'm ready for those opportunities when they come. And then finally, learn the art or the skill of looking for opportunities. You need to learn how to look for opportunities, because if you're not looking, if you're not even telling, the people who are ashamed of telling others that they're looking for a job, they're ashamed. They're like, oh my God, I don't want them to think I'm struggling. But do you or do you not? Because every time you don't intentionally put yourself in those places where you're telling people, oh, I need this opportunity. I am here, sitting here having this conversation with us because I told somebody, oh, I need this opportunity. So if you don't intentionally, there's somebody who can have $1 million opportunity for you, but they don't know that you need it. And the person is in your corner. So you need to be intentional. You also need to learn the art of looking for opportunities.
Intentionality and the act of looking for opportunity. Ofonono here, Ofonono Emmanuel. She is our guest today. She's a digital marketing and digital communication expert, as well as a mentor when it comes to job seekers and just people who are looking to get into the space. She's been helping us navigate and give us insight on the job market and building a successful career. Once again, Ufonono, many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very
you.
much. Absolutely enjoyed this, and I must commend your crystal mind and your ability to stick and finish the questions asked. Very beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming on.